So the defending champions kick things off with a victory against Bournemouth. Luis Garcia is in Mallorca ahead of our big game against Barcelona tomorrow. He was watching this for us. We'll hear from Luis in a moment. But first, let's start in studio. Nadim, this is the first time you've ever watched a Liverpool game with Stevie. How would you describe that experience?
I think it was a remarkable experience. I think for all those that think that maybe he's not really pro-Liverpool, trust me, he lives and breathes it.
Yeah, if there was a ratio of swear words.
Yeah, I think to sum up, Stevie wasn't really that calm, which says a lot about the game itself.
Absolutely.
At 2-0, you thought, well, maybe he can be calmer now.
Yeah.
But that finish, it was a bit on the stressful side, and I think rightly so.
It's interesting, Steve, because at 2-0, we thought, right, this is going to be easy. We'll just say this is exactly what you expect, obviously. Still some teething problems, but you expect Liverpool to move on and build from this. But they were so vulnerable in that second half, and it turned out to be a Chiesa, as we mentioned, of all people, who comes off the bench to be a hero. But boy, Liverpool were made us sweat.
Yeah, and I think it's important to point out that, you know, in the first half, Bournemouth had some breaks similar to the ones they took advantage of in the second half, and obviously in the first half they didn't do it. So that threat was always there. I mean, it's hard to know which way to go. Clearly, when you win a game, having been 2-0 up, you come back to 2 and you win 4-2. You should be cock-a-hooped, talking about all the positives. But if you're Liverpool, the biggest thing that may hold them back this season, as early as the first game of the season, and we saw a bit of it in the Community Shield, is defensively they do look vulnerable. And if they ever can gel properly going forward, goodness knows how many goals Liverpool will score. Because today they scored 4, and we can't honestly say that they didn't really gel. And a couple of the breakaways came from the things that had been going wrong. You know, somebody playing the wrong pass or a poor pass, and 5 and 6 players cut out the game, and then the opposition are getting to Liverpool. So on the positive front, to score 4 goals and still have way more time to get better. But the negative is clearly defensively. They looked ragged at times. And at 2-2, we weren't sure what was going to happen, let's be honest.
How stark is that negative?
You don't want to overreact to it. That's the first thing. Same way we didn't want to overreact last week. And the fact is they have won the game. But that's 2 games now we've seen where they have been very vulnerable, especially on the counter. And in some ways, as well, as we were watching the game, those subs at 60 minutes, to take off the 2 fullbacks in Frimpong and Kerkez. Yes, Kerkez wasn't having the best of games, so Robertson coming on, that's fine. But why is Wataru Endo playing right back now? And you can see Liverpool lost a little sense and sort of control of the game as such. So those opportunities that the opposition have, I'll be honest, from the perspective of somebody who's played for more underdogs than, say, favourites throughout a season, when you see a team show a sort of vulnerability like Liverpool shown these last 2 games, it offers you encouragement. I think when they look rock solid, in some ways you sort of put off and you wonder how. But Semenyo running through for that second goal, nobody laid a glove on him. Nobody at any point. But then also, you look around it, how many people are sprinting back? Probably fewer than you would have expected from a Liverpool side. So I think defensively, yes, that is a concern. You know they'll get better. But if you have to score 4 goals every week to be winning games of football, I think that's going to be a concern.
Okay, so you obviously follow German football closely. Ekitike came with a big price tag. 2 goals in 2 for him so far to start his Liverpool career. Perfect stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think anytime any player comes into a new club, a new league, you know, after a big price tag, there always seems to be like there's a little pressure that you want to get off to that quick start, so then it doesn't start becoming 4 games, 5 games. So now the key, though, for any player that gets off to a quick start is to sustain it. To not then be like, oh, look, he started well, but then you know, the fixture congestion over Christmas, and he just can't handle the pressure of the league and the pace. And I mean, he really looks like in a team where you're talking about defensively need time to gel, he looks like he's started perfectly for what they needed. Because what was a lot of conversation? Liverpool needed a striker. They needed that number 9. And when you get a start like that against a big money signing, it's perfect.
Luis, how is it watching it from Mallorca, from your perspective, obviously with your Liverpool hat on, delighted with the victory, but there is going to be doubts, isn't there, considering what we've seen, or are we getting over the top here? It's only the first game of the season.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that I'm trying to get, as always, the positive side. It's the first game of the season. They are players who have to adapt to a new style, a new team, a new league, the intensity, and to be exposed many times. You guys are talking about that Liverpool right now looks really, really vulnerable at the back. Don't forget, Kirk, it's true that he struggled today, had a lot of problems to hold in that left side on his own. They are two players in the middle of the park, McAllister and Szoboszlai, that they do a fantastic job, but they are always attacking minus, so the transition are always going to be in favor of the opponent that is waiting for those kind of situations. And it's true that the depth in the squad that the Liverpool has got at the moment is why today they managed to get the result, because at the point of 2-2 I was really doubting they were going to get on the top, because I think Bournemouth did a very good job. But again, we are talking about the first game of the season, players adapting. Let me say something quick about Ekitike, because today I think that we saw a little bit of what a player can give us in the last third, but because the layoff, the holding the ball, the movements, the runs, the connection between him, Birth, Salah and Gakpo, it was fantastic for just a short time that he's been on the team. So he's a player who I think that is going to give a lot to this Liverpool side. So it's true that in the last couple of games, Arne Slot mentioned about being vulnerable and being exposed quite often. They concede 4 goals in the last 2, but this Liverpool, he has to improve on that matter. They just signed a new centre-back, so that means they know that it's something they need to be fixed. But in the end, they scored 4 goals once again, and they managed to get the 3 points the first game of the season. So I'm getting to all those positive vibes, and I think that this Liverpool is going to be right there, getting fixed what they need to do, and up front again being really a big threat every single time that the ball is in the last third.
Amazing how easy it is to be positive, sat in Mallorca. Stevie, talk to me about Ekitike.
Let's be honest, the start of the game, the first half in particular, he was carrying Liverpool's forward line. You know, second half, Gakpo came into it a little bit, but Mo Salah had the kind of game that he's had quite a lot. As much as he scores a lot of goals, you know, he didn't do an awful lot, but he did get his goal. And so the conundrum going forward is going to be, when is Wirtz going to start doing what Wirtz was brought in to do?
How would you rate him today?
I thought he was pretty average, to be honest. I think he probably passed the ball to a blue jersey more than he did a red jersey. I think most things he did, he was not convincing in what he was trying to do. There was no real pace about him. And he was kind of floating around as if he wasn't sure where he should be to get the ball. Now, at the end of the day, that takes time. You know, you can't just throw 3 or 4 or 5 players together and think they're all going to understand what everybody's looking for. But I think he's the obvious one who is looking and searching to figure out what he should be doing. And really, what he should be doing is getting the ball in the final third. That's where he should be on the ball. But he doesn't seem to be getting it in the final third. And when he's coming short, he's not doing enough with it. So they've got to figure out how to use this guy's ability. Because there's no question he can play. He's just got to get in the right position with the right balls, and then he has to then play the right passes.
Well, and that's what he did for Leverkusen. You know, he was always in a more advanced position, but he had such a free role at Leverkusen. Just find the attack, look for the open man if they're open, but if not, then try to dribble 3 guys and score yourself. And so I think it looked, I agree with Stevie 100%, it looked like he was a little too far deep. He was trying to find the ball, but wasn't quite sure where to find the ball in that setup. But I think he's such a quality player that give him a couple weeks, and I think he'll figure that out.
The other thing as well, from a defensive point of view, Wirtz being one of the 3 in the middle with no Gravenberg, then there's not...
He was suspended today, obviously, that's why he didn't...
Yeah, that's why he's not... But that's a clear problem, because Szoboszlai and McAllister could probably do a better job than he probably did. He's not 100% fit. He's missed a lot of the pre-season. But without Gravenberg and then Wirtz being one of those 3, Wirtz gives you nothing defensively. Which, again, it's not why he's there. But if you're going to play him in that 3, you need to have somebody who's really solid, who's going to be in front of that back line, and who's going to stop the second goal that we saw Semedo, because he just ran straight through in the middle.
Yeah.
Somebody like Gravenberg would stop that. So they have to do that, and then they have to figure out where Wirtz's best position is.
Every man, I think, that I asked when he signed, agreed that Kerkez was a great addition to the squad. How do you explain a day like today?
You can have bad days. I think the fact that his very first game is against his former side, against probably the best player for Bournemouth as well in Semenyo, he probably knew he was going to be on the back foot. And in fairness to Bournemouth, they kind of targeted him. And that matchup, as we saw today, is probably something which they saw every day in training through the time that they were together. So they knew that it was going to favour Semenyo.
Right.
And also, this is a young player getting a chance to play now in this situation for Liverpool, a team trying to retain the title. So there'll be nerves in there. And I think for me, it looked like a nervous performance. I think the yellow card itself, just before he committed the foul, you could hear the crowd say, come on, because he's keen to go and make that tackle. But when he's a bit calmer and the nerves aren't there, you understand that he can't get there. So he plays a different sort of game. So it looked to me like a youngster's performance. But unfortunately for him, it was against a player who, basically has probably had his number for the last couple of years anyway.
From a youngster to a veteran, Luis. Mo Salah, what do you say about him?
Salah, what can I say? He scored once again. And again, I think that today it was really emotional. We saw him really struggling when the crowd sang a song for Diogo Jota. I think that that matters. Sometimes we forget that we are talking about human beings, and some they receive that situation in a different way. And today probably he felt in some part. But again, Mo knows how to react. Today probably wasn't the best game. He was again trying to adapt to the new players. He got Ekitike running all around, finding the places, Britt trying to link with him, but sometimes he couldn't find him. So in the end, he managed to score that goal that I'm sure that is going to settle into the season. And we are talking about the top scorer of Liverpool for the past many years. So again, sometimes we have to give him a break and not try to put the focus all the time on him when he's not performing, because he's surrounded by top quality players. So we'll see the best of Mo Salah in the coming weeks for sure.
Our producer, who can't think for himself, had to ask you whether or not to have Salah in his fantasy team.
He cannot think for himself at all, by the way.
You said no, he's past it, don't bother.
Yeah, that's not exactly what I said, no. I wouldn't go that far. I was talking more about general performance, but I did say that he will always have a chance and he'll always have a moment. But again, this performance today wasn't one of Salah's best. But I think to sum up, the fact is he can still have an impact. And yeah, it's nice that you tried to call me out like that on TV, but like I say, fair play to him, fair play to him. But there's certain times where it's frustrating because he's had some 2v1s, some 1v1s, and the decision making isn't necessarily perfect. But the fact is he can still continue, can still step up and can still be trusted in his Liverpool side. And now he's having, different players playing around him. So he kind of needs to find his feet as well. But I think the point that Lewis made is a big one, because today for Liverpool was always going to be an emotional day, and you've got a bunch of players who are going to do everything they can to try and have like a good performance to sort of commemorate Diogo Jota, and that's tough to play in, because I can go back to my career. In 2008, I played in the Manchester derby on the same day of the Munich disaster. Let's commemorate, I think it was maybe 50 years or whatever it was, and that day for United was a tough day for them. We ended up winning and we hadn't won there in 35 years. There's something about that sort of sense in the stands, what people really want and what they long for isn't necessarily something that comes easy. So credit to Salah, credit for Liverpool for finally getting it done.
When you looked at the squad that was put out today, Stevie, no surprise at all that it's Chiesa who's the hero.
Yeah.
Never in doubt.
That was incredible. When he was coming,
I was screaming to get him on.
I don't quite remember that being part of the narrative in the room. That's incredible.
I mean, you got to give him credit. Clearly he looked as though he couldn't wait to get on. And then when he did get on, he's popped up and he's focused, he's concentrated. He's not. It'd be easy for somebody like him, for what he's already done in his career. And he's not stupid. He knows that we're all kind of, we're all having a little snigger here and there. But his experience and what he's been through previously, that's water off a duck's back. And that's why he's able to come on in a game like this with not a lot of time to go and be at it and be ready for that opportunity. And that's the key for every player. Be ready, regardless of the situation. If it drops to you, because you don't know whether it will, sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. But if you're ready for it, then you can do what he did and take the opportunity.
Does this make any difference with regards to whether or not you let him go between now and the end of the transfer window?
The goal doesn't? No, I don't believe so. It's about getting players in. If they get players in, then you can let them go. But until then, you can't do it. Regardless of whether he scores or not today, they can't afford to let another body go.
Lamine Yamal's the number 10 now at Barcelona.
Do I need to hang on to this ball, by the way? I'm sorry.
Yes, kick it to the camera.
Right. Okay, anybody want this ball?
Listen, if Lewandowski can do it,
I can do it. There we go.
Like
Yes, I made that one.
He made it.
First one.
Lamine Yamal, number 10 this season, a lot of responsibility at 18 years old. He's come of age, he's extended his contract. It feels weird to say, like, how can he better himself than last season? What do you want to see from him this season?
Oh, consistency. I think this is what everybody is expecting. We all know that the pressure is on.
As young as he is, and yet you never felt that the pressure was getting to Lamine Yamal, that he was always enjoying what he was doing, and he was very much at peace with being out there, having fun, scoring goals, being productive, being potentially the best player in the world, and that it seemed like he was doing it in his backyard. Now comes expectation. Last year was like, wow, my goodness, Lamine Yamal, look at him. Oh, what a beautiful story. Now it's kind of like it's turned the page to, well, you need to do it again. And you need to do it again and again and again and again. And what I don't want him to do, what he has to be very careful, is that he loses sight of what makes him successful. And it is enjoying the game. As long as he continues to do that and this doesn't become a business for him, that this becomes actually something that it becomes stressful for him, we'll see some of the same things that we saw last year. And in fact, I am confident in seeing an even better version of Lamine Yamal, because it's an even more mature version of Lamine Yamal. He's going to be great this season.
Now, of course, that's a superstar already at Barcelona, an 18-year-old superstar. Over at Real Madrid, the superstars, Kylian Mbappe, Vinny Jr. Yesterday we had Mario Suarez here, asking whether those two players would be pressing for Xabi Alonso. What are your thoughts on this?
We'll be pressing about how to put them together to play.
If they'll
they will
press.
fit together. And they will press. Well, now you go only two. So I think that they can have a little bit more freedom. I think that Xabi Alonso is trying to build a whole structure behind those two players, allow them to, help me on this, help me on that. But after that, what I want is that you be ready, you be fresh to make what you do the best. That is those fantastic run, those 1v1 situation, and scoring goals. Don't forget, Mbappe was last year, even though they struggled in the beginning of the season, top scorer of La Liga. So I think that the idea of trying to make them run, you can have them there, but now there is no three players who are running or not running enough. There are only two players, and you got behind a whole structure that is going to work to try to give them freedom.
So tell me, you played with Xabi Alonso.
Yep.
How does he get them to do what he wants them to do?
No, I think he's already doing them. I think they are in the right position. We saw Kylian Mbappe scoring goals in the preseason and also in the Club World Cup when he was right then in position. Vinicius Junior in his position. A little bit in the middle, going to the left side, where he had a lot of freedom over there because he likes to start from that side. And again, behind them, there are so many players that they are going to do the job of working. Also, we had Gonzalo Garcia doing a fantastic job trying to make them freedom, trying to do the job for them, trying to press, trying to be there, light off the balls, to give the freedom up for them to run into the spaces and be in the right position. So I think what he's trying to is generate behind something very strong for them to be free to score goals.
It's going to be fine, Ale.
Will it? Look.
I didn't say that.
It's going to be fine-ish. It's going to be fine in moments. It's going to be fine when Kylian Mbappe and Vini understand the magnitude of the game. You will see, I believe, a different attitude. And it's going to be game dependent. However, when this team goes away to Oviedo, for example, Sid Lowe will be at the match, I suppose. Will they be nearly as interested in actually pressing together? I have my doubts. And I think there's a reason to have doubts. It's because we haven't seen it before. We haven't seen it from either one of these players. We haven't seen it individually from either one of these players, and we haven't seen it together. This team looked much better with Gonzalo Garcia and either Vini or Mbappe than he did with the two of them playing up top. And that's defensively. Offensively, they still need to prove that they can work together as a pair, that they can work off of each other, that as one shows, the other one goes, that they can find the spaces in between defenders so that there is a passing lane, so that there is a gap. Working together as a pair, it's not easy to do if you're only thinking about how am I going to dribble this guy, how am I going to dribble that guy. You have to be in tune with the other guy and be willing to make runs that perhaps are only going to open space for the other. We saw that in the Club World Cup from Gonzalo Garcia, making an in-to-out run to open up the passing lane for Vinny Jr. and a great pass from Jude Bellingham ends up being a goal. If you see enough of that from Kylian Mbappe, in which he throws himself from in to out, sacrificing himself so that Vinny can make a run in behind him, then maybe this works. But they need to work together. In order to do that, they need to sacrifice for each other, both defensively and offensively.
Taking a look at the big games in the Premier League this weekend, Manchester United against Arsenal is certainly a standout tie. Of course, for Arsenal, they're looking to avoid finishing second once again in the Premier League. Here's Mr. Arteta.
Yeah, you keep digging, and you have to be digging because one day the gold is going to be there, and that's all the time. When I've been tough, when I've been educated, and that's it. For 3 seasons, we have more points than any other team in this league, which is incredible. So that's all about the consistency. Now we have to do it in a season to earn 1 more point or the same amount of points and more goals difference than any other team. That's the objective.
We did the maths, and in fact, Arsenal don't have the most out of any side over the last 3 seasons. When it comes to combined points, they are 4 adrift of Manchester City. Stephen.
What?
I mean, is it desperate that you're making up facts? Is it?
He has been no different since he walked through the door at Arsenal, coming out with patter that's wrong, trying to sound clever, coming up with all these different wee things with his light bulbs. It's just the way he is.
Right.
I mean, listen, I don't suppose it would matter even if they had won the league. He's still going to come out with something, and we're always going to have something daft to talk about with him. It's just the way the guy is.
It just seems silly to say something that is so easily fact-checked.
It is. I'm trying to find a way to give him the benefit of the doubt.
I think somebody stitched him up. I think.
Yeah, someone's forgot to carry a number
last
somewhere.
day. Someone's like, right, I've had enough of all this.
Say this.
The bigger point he's trying to say is that there's consistency there. That's what he's trying to say. But to deliver it in a way which isn't necessarily true is a little bit awkward. But it's the start of the season. He has the belief. He knows his team good enough to do it. But can he get it over the line this time?
Is Arsenal playing Manchester United? Who benefits from this being the first game of the season?
I think Man U does.
Do you think so?
I do, because I think Arsenal. I don't think anybody's expecting Manchester United to challenge, and Arsenal need to challenge. Mm-hmm. And we all know, slipping up points early in the season can almost remove you from the title chase. So I think Arsenal need 3 points against a side that everybody thinks are still going to struggle.
Yeah, I'm not on board with that fully, to be honest. And the reason I say that is just because Arsenal don't have a great record at Old Trafford anyway, but they've still been involved in some title races in the last few years. So this game itself is one where you could very easily, from an Arsenal perspective, if it doesn't go well, brush it off. I think you could do that. I think in the next weeks they've got Man City, they've got Liverpool as well. So they'll be under a little bit of pressure, but these league titles Arsenal haven't won haven't been because of games they've played against teams like United. It's been when they've dropped points elsewhere at key moments through the season. So I think he knows they're good enough to be able to win this game, but I don't think he's going to sort of have the same...
Don't you need that momentum if you're Arsenal?
Well, the momentum...
Considering they're playing Liverpool so soon.
There's no better way to get it.
Yeah.
It's the best way to get it. Is to go, as bad as United were last year, there's no... I mean, they've signed 3 forwards. That's the only difference to this team. A team that was bang, if I'm being kind, they were bang average at home all season.
Yeah.
Is there some magic wand that's going to all of a sudden turn Man United into a team? That momentum you're talking about?
Yeah.
They beat Man United in this game.
Right.
No. You've got your momentum. And by the way, they'll beat them anyway.
Yeah, I'm not really buying into that. I think it's more so the other way, because if United beat Arsenal, I think their fans will believe that they can do something this year. Whereas if Arsenal beat United, there won't be any big reaction to it.
I think there'll be a big reaction.
I don't think there will.
You think Arsenal fans will be like, we knew this was going to happen anyway?
No, because they need to, in their minds, to be successful, I believe, and I don't want to put words into their mouths because, there's millions of them everywhere. I think they need to go to a place like Old Trafford and just say it's business as usual. We just win games of football here. I think that's what they aspire to be. Whereas from the United standpoint, they've been so bad in this last 12 months that a win against Arsenal at home to start the season with new signings is the boost that I think that they need. Whereas for Arsenal, I don't think it moves the needle.
Let's see then where Stephen Nicol has Arsenal in his predictions.
Here we go.
We look ahead, of course, to the season. And he has Arsenal finishing second for the 4th time in a row, and a small club called Liverpool winning the league. How close is it going to be, Stevie?
Well, I think it'll be close. Yeah, I don't think this is going
Between
to be...
the 3 or the 2?
I can't hand on heart turn around and say that Man City are going to be going toe-to-toe all season.
Right.
I don't see it. Defensively, they have done absolutely nothing to make themselves any better from that side of the game. What they've done is they've added more firepower up front, which means that they might score some more goals. But defensively, they have done zippity-doo-dah day to make themselves any better. And that's why I'm not quite so sure. I'm actually not quite sure what we're going to get. I don't know whether we're going to get the Man City of the last, 2 or 3 months? Or the Man City of right in the middle of the season when they were complete garbage, or the Man City at the start of the season who looked as though they were going to be challenging.
Yeah.
So I don't think you can put your hand on your heart and say that A, they're going to win it, and B, they're going to absolutely be right up the top for the length of the season.
You got something to say now?
I'm just saying that Nathan believes that Manchester City will win the league.
I know, I heard them yesterday.
And he doesn't believe your theory of zippity-doo-dah.
No,
For those who maybe missed the discussion, why are you not buying into
No, I did. I heard you comment about how come he never fixed it last year. I did.
Well,
yeah.
That's because some of those players weren't available. That's the thing. When they were going through their worst spell, they didn't have all the key players that were available for them in that stretch.
But again, that's another part. That's an add-on.
So we're talking about fitness,
because
though?
the biggest, yeah.
Yeah, but at the start of the season, everybody's got the hope that they'll be fit.
But if you look at the last season, I mean, is John Stones ever going to play again?
Listen, what I would say,
Nathan Ake is ever going to be 100%
What I would say is that last season showed that City have been very good or fortunate over the previous years to have so many players available to where you can have options on a regular basis. Last year was the outlier as opposed to the previous 3.
Yeah, but if they have Diaz available, if they have Ake available, if they have Stones available,
if they have Akanji available, if they have Guardiola available as well.
All of them, the last 12 months in particular, maybe a little longer, have been bang average.
No. Couldn't disagree more.
Bang average.
Couldn't disagree more.
Bang average.
Couldn't disagree more. I think the one that struggled the most last season is the one that's not there anymore, in Kyle Walker. The other ones had significant fitness issues as opposed to form. You
think Diaz didn't struggle last year?
Diaz struggled in that stretch when everyone else did, but again, it's because of the fitness side of things. That last third of the season, as you rightly mentioned, they were far more solid, and he was part of that.
Yeah, but hold on a second. They were far more solid, but they would have to be because they were so bad, they couldn't have been any worse.
So you're saying they got better?
That is a little different than actually saying they got better.
So you're saying they got better, and I think the difference going into, say, for example...
That's a little different than saying they got better.
Hey, listen, we've just watched Liverpool.
That's like Man United.
We've just watched Liverpool.
There's no way Man United are going to be 15th.
Are you concerned about Liverpool's defence?
And if they finish 10th, is everybody going to say, oh, well, they're much better than they were last year?
Are you concerned about Liverpool's defence after today?
Yes, I am, yeah.
Okay, so then surely that's the thing in itself. If City's defence isn't great, then what's Liverpool's for them to be so much better? You said City have added firepower, so maybe they'll just score the way through it.
Well, Liverpool's defensive problems that we've been highlighting have been over, 2 games.
So the start of the season then?
So Man City's is a 12-month period.
You're talking about last season, I thought we were talking about this season now.
An 8-day period.
Let's take a look, shall we, at Casey's predictions, which of course has some weight in this argument as well, because Casey...
Inject it!
Hold on, is that a mullet?
Yeah, it is, of course it is.
That's a half mullet, by the way. I love that.
No,
Casey, you've got Manchester City as well.
Yes. I just don't think they can have the same season they had last year.
What about the arguments about the defence?
Yep, I think it's valid, but I also think that just seems to be the new way everybody plays. You don't sign a defender that defends. You sign a defender who passes the ball really well out of the back. You don't sign an outside back that's a great defender. It's how well he gets forward. So I think it's just a case of, like, even today with Liverpool, 2-0 up, concede a goal. It wasn't a case of, okay, let's get our shape right. Let's, drop this player back. Nope, let's just keep going and see what happens. And I think it's going to be wide open. And I think Man City, by adding more firepower, Holland will have a better year than he had last year, and I think they're just going to outscore everybody.
Sorry, Stevie as well, I forgot to say. Do you think Rodri coming back makes a difference or not?
Well, when's he coming back?
He's available now, basically.
Well, apparently he was available for the World Club Cup.
Oh, did you watch that?
He didn't really play much, did he?
Did you watch? Yeah.
And of course,
so do you think defensively, do you think that makes a difference?
And he's not
do you think that
actually
makes a difference defensively? So you've got them going from third last year
Well,
to
let
third
me ask you a
this year.
question then. Do you think when Van Dijk was out for such a long period of time, when he came back, he wasn't at his best, was he?
No, he absolutely wasn't.
So Rodri's going to be the same. That's a guarantee.
No.
Yes,
because
a guarantee.
because I'm going to add to
Yes, it
that
will.
because they said that he was a big part of what was missing. So even whatever percentage he can be in that midfield and he can build into it, surely that makes them better.
Does he make them better enough to win the Premier League?
Wow, you still got them in third.
I don't think so.
You still got them in third. That's the point.
Manchester City, of course, kick off
tells you
against
more about the rest of them.
Wolves this weekend. And, of course, we'll be reflecting that on the next edition of ESPN FC. It will be Bayern Munich in action against Stuttgart. As you can see, Bayern Munich have featured a lot in this tie over the years. They haven't been particularly dominant. For more on this, let's join Archie and Thomas.
Thanks, Dan. The Bundesliga is back next weekend. But before we get to that, we've got to get through the Franz Beckenbauer Super Cup with Thomas Hitzelsberger. Thomas, Bayern, champions of the Bundesliga, not of the Cup, which is why they're playing Stuttgart. What state are they in coming into this season?
It depends which way you're looking at it. There are some positives for Bayern. I would argue that Vincent Kompany has done very well in his first season. He's won the Bundesliga. They also brought in Luis Diaz, a well-established Premier League player from the champions from Liverpool. On the other hand, you could argue they missed out on the player they wanted the most, Florian Wirtz. Also, they're still fighting to get Nick Woltemade. So it's kind of up and down, plus the fact that they didn't have much rest in the summer. So many games going on. So it will be interesting to see. But overall, I'm pretty optimistic from Bayern's point of view. They will do well next season.
There is still some uncertainty around the club regarding who's going to step up, I think, to certain roles in the squad. And I'm mostly thinking about who is going to fill this void of character that Thomas Müller has been providing them.
Well, I would assume I should have mentioned that first. Of all the things that are important to Bayern is Thomas Müller. He's just left the club. He's leaving a big void. I'd say they miss him a little bit as a player, but more importantly, the personality. Everything he's done for the club on the outside, but also in the dressing room, that will be very, very important to fill that gap. You look at the team now, it could be Joshua Kimmich, of course, who's been there for many years. Manuel Neuer, who is still there. Maybe Harry Kane with his experience. So some of these players have to step up, but nobody will ever be able to replace Thomas Müller.
And maybe some younger players as well could be making a difference. Lennart Karl has been making a real impression in pre-season, but the signing of Luis Diaz really stands out to me, given that he's on such a level. And it makes me think, how is any team going to get near to Bayern this season?
Yeah, I just can't see any other team being close to them. Like I said, they still have by far the best squad. If they deliver, if they show their quality, I don't think anybody can catch them. I think Luis Diaz is a big statement because Bayern and the Bundesliga in general, they always look at the Premier League. Most of the time the best players go to the Premier League, but to sign such a big name in the Bundesliga is still good, is relevant for the Bundesliga. But of course, he's at the best phase of his career. They paid a lot of money for him as well, and that's why they really hope that he stays injury-free. He plays at the highest level. And Lennart Karl is one for the future, and I think Bayern, they have to rethink the way they do their transfers because they're missing out some big names, so they have to bring in their own players.
Usually the biggest names in Germany go to Bayern, but Stuttgart have held firm so far with Nick Woltemade. What are you made of that, and what do you think they'll get up to this season?
I'm surprised that's still the case because normally a team like Bayern want to sign one of the best players in the Bundesliga. They get them, whatever price that's been asked for. But Stuttgart, they're quite stubborn. It's still, the window is still open, so it's going to be an interesting next 2 weeks. But fair play to Stuttgart. They are strong. They need him as well because they are still ambitious. And a player like Nick Woltemade, these type of players are not easy to get. So the price tag has got to go up. Otherwise, he will stay at Stuttgart.
Thomas, prediction for tomorrow?
I do believe, even though it's at Stuttgart, that Bayern will have the upper hand and win 2-1.
I'm going 3-1. So that's where we're at, Dan. Thomas, thank you for now. German Super Cup, Franz Beckenbauer Super Cup, tomorrow.
Thank you very much, guys. Of course, Archie and Thomas will be around our coverage, as will Nedum Casey. Stuttgart against Bayern Munich live, 2 p.m. Eastern on ESPN Plus and ABC. let's talk about what has been going on. He's been doing this kind of fly-on-the-wall documentary for CBS Sports. The rest of it dropped yesterday. This is what he had to say. I'd say this about the criticism, by the way, that we've seen because, of course, he didn't go to the Gold Cup. I'd say the most annoying thing, and for me the biggest cop-out of all time, is when especially, all the pundits want to say they didn't want it, they didn't have the heart, Back in our day, we would fight and we would die on that field. Tim Weah doubled down on that, saying those guys are chasing checks. And from now, he's talking about the guys who are the likes of Casey, Landon Donovan, Alexis Lala, so sort. Those guys are clearing checks for me, and I just feel like they're really evil, honestly, because they've been players and they know what it's like when you're getting bashed. Those are the same guys that will turn around and shake your hand and try to be friendly with you. Oh, you two-faced Casey, trying to be friends with everybody.
I don't know if I've met Tim Weah. Yeah, I mean, I just find it interesting because I think we have a job to do.
Right.
And if you're watching a match and you don't see a level of energy, you don't see maybe a tackle that needs to be made, you just see kind of something where it just feels like it's going through the motions. I guess maybe there's individuals that are pointing at individuals, but I mean, I think players still have to do their job. We ex-players still have to do our job.
Yes.
And I can't lie to the fans because I'm friends or want to be friends with one of the current players and say, oh, I know this game looked terrible and you just got beat at home, but it really was really good.
Yes.
And I mean, there's only... Don't get involved in this kind of stuff. You can't win. Dan, you're talking every day on TV.
Whether you like it or not.
Whether you like it or not. And so the problem is if you pick a fight with guys who have podcasts, who have to fill stuff, it just piles on. Just say, hey, everybody has their opinion.
Right.
I'm going to go out. I'm going to try to show that I give everything I step on the field. I had no problem with the situation of Christian not playing in the Gold Cup. To me, this is all about current results, kind of post World Cup in Qatar, and the team just has not clicked. It just has not happened. They break the bank to bring in Pochettino. That hasn't worked. And to me, it was this golden generation that was coined in our American press, and it's fallen flat. That's what the criticism is.
What's interesting, Stevie, is the fact this is quite a new phenomenon, obviously, that players can have these fly-on-the-wall documentaries to give their side, I suppose, of an argument, their side of life. As a manager, how much you would have encouraged players to do this?
Not at all. Keep your mouth shut. You can't win.
Yeah.
You can't win. Do they think that Casey at times didn't get criticism?
Of course.
Every single, it doesn't. You can go back as long as you want. People criticise you when you're playing, and you can't turn round and go on. I mean, I guess today it's different with social media, but back in my day it was a newspaper. You wouldn't go in the newspaper and start saying that, oh, so and so was calling me this and I was doing this. You cannot win. It's just not. Just play your football. Play your football, and that's it. And leave it alone.
But if you're seeing somewhere there are things said about you that you don't feel fair, isn't it your right to step up and say something?
Well, yeah, I suppose you can do that. But as Stevie said, what is the sort of value of it on the back end? You've said it now. Right. Now here's the reaction. How do you feel about that? Because now this is going to divide people further because you've doubled down on what you've felt, what you've thought, and people really disagree with you now. And it comes across in some ways as not necessarily soft, but I think generationally there's been a significant amount of change. So those for Timothy Weah, for Christian Pulisic and all these other players, they will feel that criticism leveled at them is personal because it's not just talking about football. But what I would say as a spin to this, if I was a former US men's national team player and so on, and I saw those players playing in that manner, I'd also be having discussions about the manager. Because why? If you can see that if you believe they're not trying, why is the manager not doing something about that? And maybe that's a bit of a cop-out because you want the players to be perceived to be doing everything they can, everything that they can. But why is it being accepted? Because if I speak up on a podcast, which I could do 7 days a week or whatever, Like, what change does that bring? If you want change, then the person that can change it needs to see it as well, because that's what they're being paid to do.
This argument, do you want to say something?
I was just going to say, it sounds too simplistic, but the truth of the matter is, as football players, we've all been patted on the back.
Yep.
I don't hear anybody going on the papers complaining that we're getting too many pats on the back.
Well,
so you know what? When you get the other side of the coin, then you do exactly what you did the first when you get the pats.
Yeah.
I think, to be fair though, I think it's the nature of the criticism, and I think that's something that all of us, from when we've played, you'd receive some things in the right way and some things not.
Right, so not trying or not giving your all.
Those sorts of things.
Not caring.
You know what I mean? Because those things, they stick with you, and when they stick with you, you'll never be able to shed that.
Right.
And if you think it's unjust, then what can you do about it? I suppose in this day and age, you just have a documentary series about yourself.
There we go. It's the dream. There's a lot more about this subject on the latest edition of Football Americas. Alexis joined by Nedum and Casey to take a deep dive into this. That's available now here on ESPN+. Welcome into the latest edition of Extra Time. Thank you very much for all your questions. Casey joins us. Nedum, now a permanent fixture, it feels, here. Stevie, you've had a few days off. How was that? Enjoyable?
It was too long.
You miss us.
I felt unemployed for a bit.
You're just knocking at the door. Can I come in? Okay, Nedum, Casey and Dan, how many swear words did Stevie say right after Semenyo?
Hold on, who's got a calculator?
He was telling a story, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Every other word.
Yeah. It was impressive. I mean, and for someone who, brought in the British culture of understanding that a swear word comes on a football pitch like every third word.
Yes.
Steve took it to a level.
Most definitely. I think if HR were listening.
Yeah, it was impressive.
And you've never experienced this,
No,
Stevie.
it was remarkable.
Stevie watching Liverpool.
Yeah, it was remarkable.
Do you know on occasions he has to leave the room and go and watch it on his own?
Yeah. In some ways, I'm okay with it because he cares about it.
Yes.
To me, I fall the other side of it. I fall silent. So if you watch a game with me tomorrow...
Are you moody?
No, I'm not moody. I'm anxious, get really tight about it. I wish I could express myself like that.
Right.
He goes quiet.
Oh, for England?
Yeah, England.
Oh, yeah,
England,
for sure.
England, I'm
more
definitely
like that.
I kind of take that as opposed to the Stevie approach.
Yeah, it literally just... the amount of touches that Semenyo had was how many swear words were coming out in real time.
Yes.
With every touch, there's one, there's another one.
When I'm watching the national team, I just get evil.
What, are you
evil?
Wow.
Okay.
It's because you're supporting the opposition.
Well,
because you hate them because they're...
Yes. I mean,
that's what Wayne was saying.
It was a bold head.
Did the ref bottle the red card for handball because it was 13 minutes into the opening game, Stevie?
I don't think he bottled anything. I just don't think he had a clue what happened.
Yep.
I don't think he knew what happened. And everybody kind of seemed to stop.
Right.
And then he ended up giving them a free kick to Bournemouth.
Only there was some sort of cameras in place that could aid the ref.
A panel of referees in a separate spot that have
Now, when you
monitors
initially
to
saw
watch
it, you were
this.
saying you weren't sure. Now,
Yeah, I wasn't sure. And in fairness, I've changed my mind again.
Right.
So the wording was it wasn't an obvious goal-scoring opportunity and it was a potential one. And I think that comes because the ball was moving a bit to the side.
Right.
Fair? Unfair?
I just thought maybe
He wasn't going straight through towards the goalkeeper.
Stephen's the person you need to be
Yeah,
talking
that's at the
about.
neutral. What do you
There's a
think?
slight problem here.
Oh, no, here we go. Go on.
It was going to the side, but guess what? It was going straight to Ekitike.
Yeah, but
that
still,
makes it
the ball's
worse.
going to the side. It's going to the side. It's not directly towards goal.
But it's going to the side. Who was it? Senesi
Senesi, yeah.
is out the game. He's made a mistake.
Yes.
It's going somewhat to the side.
Listen.
It's going straight to Ekitike, who's going to be straight through.
That's how you see that's fantasy now. You think that's what he's going to do?
But isn't everything fantasy in this sort of
Pretty much, yeah. But to be fair, let's just point out the fact that Senesi is so nervous he's decided to try and play basketball. That's never a good sign.
No.
In this sort of era as well, VAR, to be doing that weight on the halfway line.
Mistouch,
I wonder if I'm going to be sent off.
Stevie, did Slot almost throw away 2 points by subbing both fullbacks at the same time, replacing them with a midfielder instead of Gomez?
Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah, that was part of the swearing.
Yeah. I mean, Nedum said it during the show about Kerikez. We understood it. He was on a yellow. He was having a hard time. He was unsettled the whole time. Okay.
Kirkhead.
Yeah.
Sorry, I thought you said Kerikez.
Probably did.
Added a vowel.
Frimpong, on the other hand, hadn't been a problem.
Yeah.
Right.
And his pace was needed. And we saw that because the goal comes from that side. Endo's not even there. Konate can't close Brooks down now. It's a great ball from Brooks. and then they get the second one. So absolutely 100%. The game changed when he took the full-backs off.
But then changed back when he brought on Chiesa.
Oh, Chiesa. Oh, it's going to be the match winner. Now, I just got to remind you, I don't choose these questions, Casey.
Okay.
How hard was it to be left off the '94 World Cup in the US? Do you think at the time you should have been one of the goalkeepers brought in?
Well, I mean, it was...
Who were the goalies, Casey?
It was Tony Miola, Friedel,
right,
and Jurgen Sommer is the third.
Right.
And so I was...
How old were you? Where were you at this stage?
I was at Millwall. I was the only one playing week in and week out. Tony and Brad were in residency camp for 2 years because there was no league in America.
Right.
So they were playing Bolivia 14 times.
You're hinting at there's some politics involved here.
Look, I don't know what I still to this date I've been told like 7 different things why.
Did you ever ask the question why?
Multiple times and never really got a real answer.
Right.
So it was just one of those, I mean, you can't explain it. And I knew it wasn't going to go well because for Millwall's playing Luton. Jurgen Sommer's playing for Luton. We beat Luton and it's at home, but the U.S. soccer people had gotten tickets from Luton to come to Millwall to watch this game to tell which one of us was going to be in the World Cup squad. So, but look, I think like every situation, I shouldn't have been on the 90 World Cup team.
Right.
I mean, I had a great youth World Cup, but all of us were amateurs, basically. If it had been reversed and I wasn't on the 90 and on the 94, that would have made more sense. But in the end, it was a decent career.
Don't worry, I wasn't selected for the 94 team.
There you go.
It's fine. Stevie, has Virgil van Dijk surpassed the level of Terry, Rio and Stam? Where would you rank him the greatest centre-backs in Premier League history? I feel this would be more of a Naden question.
No, let Stevie take it. Let Stevie take it.
Who for you is the greatest Premier League defender, Stevie? Say Van Dijk's not in this conversation. Who is the pedestal in which you put?
Oh my goodness!
Do you have to go generational? Can you go like?
I think the answer to the question is that he hasn't surpassed them because they've all been as important. They've all been as important in captain and looking after everybody around them in great teams.
Right.
And all great teams have somebody, particularly at centre back, in my opinion, who actually holds the thing together and steers the ship. And I don't think you can separate them at all. I think there's no question that they all deserve to be in the conversation. To turn around and say as to who is the best is an impossibility. I think the only thing you can say is that John Terry was absolutely frightening at his peak, as was Rio. Rio Ferdinand, I'm not sure whether I would have Stam in amongst the other three. I think Stam was great, but I don't think he was as good a footballer as the other three.
Naden?
No, I think that's fair. Is it fair to say to start with that Van Dijk's the best Liverpool defender in Premier League era? Would you say that straight off the bat?
Premier League,
yeah,
yes.
Straight off the bat.
In the Premier League, yeah. No.
I think it's a good discussion, and you could argue the case that he could be in that. Because the ones who we're naming, he's got traits which suit both of them. I think for John Terry, the last-ditch nature of him, some of the defending, the heroism, like he's got that. For Rio, the ability on the ball, like he's got that as well. He's also massive, he's got huge presence. So I think for Van Dijk, he can play for Liverpool in this era, but I think he could have played in previous eras as well.
Right.
So I think that ability and that skill set shows that he can do everything. So yes, I think he's definitely part of the discussion. Which says a lot given how much money he cost and where he came from, but he's been worth every single penny and then some, I would say.
So you grew up as a City fan.
Correct.
But that's when they were rubbish.
Relatively speaking, yes.
So you didn't really have a centre-back to admire from your team?
No.
So which centre-back did you kind of think, this is who I want to be, this is who I base my
team
team
To be
around?
completely honest with you, when I was younger supporting City, I was actually a striker in the academy. So the people I was looking up to were like Ian Wright, Thierry Henry, and others.
Then you got moved back.
Yeah, moved back. Missed a couple of one-on-ones, and then next thing you're a midfielder, a couple more, and next thing you're at the back, not going for from.
You didn't quite make it that far.
No. Scored a couple. So he said, you can be outfield. But yeah, I was looking more so at the attackers, and if it was about defenders, it was more so the Italian ones at the time. Looking at Nestor's Maldinis and all that, and later on in Spain, looking at Puyols and all that. So yeah, it's more so the defenders from different countries, I would say.
Nedum,
Yes.
what sites, attractions would you recommend to a first-time visitor to Manchester?
It was the Etihad Stadium, there's the Etihad campus. I think when you come to Manchester...
Curry Mile's not there anymore, is it?
No, still there.
Is Curry Mile still there? I used to live near the Curry Mile.
I think in terms of Manchester, you need to venture out to the idea of Greater Manchester.
Right.
Because the city centre itself is really nice. There's lots to do. Those young professionals in there.
The Arndale Centre are we putting into?
The Arndale's completely changed, by the way, since you were last there. So
okay.
Just dial it back a little bit.
All right.
Dial it back a little bit.
Piccadilly Gardens.
Wouldn't recommend going to Piccadilly Gardens. But there are lots of places within the centre, and if you go around to see some of the history, like if you're into football, go to the Football Museum. If you want to go catch a game, go to Old Trafford, go to City, go to the local ones, go to like Bolton, go to Bury, go to Stockport, go to all these places.
Oldham?
Yeah, they're in the league now, so yeah, go to Oldham, go to Rochdale, whatever you need. But yeah, there's tons of places, loads of outdoors things to do, and people just have a good time.
The Printworks is still there?
You're talking about some of the worst places here.
No, I'm just saying this is where I used to go.
It is still open, yeah. It's still open, but you're talking about the Printworks in Curry Mile.
Yeah.
I wouldn't necessarily say they're the ones turn up in TripAdvisor.
I don't know, Curry Mile, fantastic, no? Bring your own.
Just go hang out at the Wimslow Starbucks and just look for what footballer comes in.
Oh dear. Final question. Now we discussed when Tottenham came out in their white suits for the match against PSG, we brought a Macca's white suit. And I asked him whether or not he still had
the whitish
it.
cream, whatever that was.
And he said no chance. That was gone like within a week. But I thought, because you are who you are, Stevie, you would keep your suit because you won't want to buy another one.
No, I have no idea where it is, when it got chopped, or whatever.
You think it even made it out of the top? Even made it out of Wembley?
No.
Or is it still...
But we're not talking about the white suits. We're just talking about your general FA Cup suits.
Yeah.
No, I've no idea. Well, because they were sensible, ordinary, and smart.
Right.
So you wouldn't even remember them. Not. The only reason we'll remember is because it's stupid white shirt.
Right.
That's why everybody remembers it.
Yeah.
But
I thought, given your penchant for not spending money, that you might.
I've got a couple of my old team suits, to be fair, still available. And the best ones are the ones that don't have the badge on, because then you can use them again. But unfortunately, sometimes when they make it really specific, it's like, I can't really wear that around
I wasn't
anymore.
expecting that.
What's that?
Yeah.
If you don't have a badge, you can wear them again.
Some of them nice suits, yeah. And I don't really like wearing suits, as you know.
They still fit you.
Look at Stevie judging you because you haven't bought a new suit in 20 years.
It'll be 20 more years as well.
Casey, old suits?
I have an old Sounders suit.
Oh yeah.
Still, but I'd have to go through some storage bins somewhere to see if there was.
To find out.
The first cup final I was in with Leicester, we were sponsored by Next.
Oh, okay.
So it was like kind of an off-the-shelf thing that.
Yes.
And we ended up getting.
How would you describe Next? Just like a middle of the road.
Yeah.
Mid-level, yeah.
Gap.
Menswear. Yeah.
Yeah, Old Navy, something like that.
I've got plenty of Next stuff.
And it was just.
That will help boost the sales.
My jacket didn't make it back from Wembley.
Oh.
It didn't fit. It was I think it was still somewhere in before the reconstruction of Wembley.
Right.
Yeah, like Nedum said, sometimes if it's all badged up, you just kind of like, okay, that just kind of goes over there. If it's kind of generic, but just a nice suit because you're at a good club and there's a good suit sponsor, then you're like, okay,
Dan,
that gets recycled.
The best suit I had was when City got a bit more money. It was sponsored by, I think it was like Armani.
Oh, okay.
Really superb fitting suit, gave you like fancy socks and all that. Listen, you're not going to wear that training with the under-18s, are you? So that just sits in my wardrobe there. Never worn. Beautiful suit.
Oh, lovely.
Never worn.
Very nice, Armani.
Yeah, superb it was.
Liverpool have Armani suits?
I don't think we even had labels.
So many stereotypes.
Ted Baker was a big Spurs fan.
There you go.
So
beautiful.
I was injured at Fulham and was going down to do the World Cup draw in South Africa. And the kind folks at Ted Baker kitted me out with a couple suits for the World Cup draw, which was pretty cool.
Do you still have those?
No, I can't fit into those anymore. Come on, that was a while ago.
That is it then. That brings us to the end of today's show. Tomorrow is all about Casey and Nedum, of course, bring the German Super Cup. You've got Kay and Ali as well in Spain for Barcelona's opener. So much to discuss then on the next edition of ESPN FC. Be sure to join everyone.